because Vulcan represents the very best imaginative thinking, out-of-the-box virtues of British aeronautical design and engineering. You could say that she represents the very best of the great British people.
Yes, that's the full room. Then how loud can she get?
Just watch.
And it's very loud.
In the hands today of that notable name, Martin Withers, yes, the very same man that took that sortie down to the Falkland Islands as part of those raids. He was actually in reserve at the time and surprised as many, but raring to go when the first aircraft discovered a technical problem and he was launched into the air. Aided today on board by Bill Ramsey and Phil Davis.
I love the Morgan.
And looking absolutely magnificent in the Cornish skyline here today. The shape that you see was originally drawn on a scruffy piece of paper in 1946 by the same man who had designed the fantastic Lancaster bomber. He was Roy Chadwick. Sadly, he died in 1947 in an air crash and so never saw his brilliant design fly, nor did he see it become the first successful operational delta-winged aircraft in the world. Each aircraft has its own distinctive sound. This one, the howl of the mighty Olympus engines. 4 Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus 202s, giving 16,400 pounds each, a total of 65,000 pounds of thrust. Half as much power again as that on an Airbus 318. Max speed of 640 miles an hour, or Mach 0.97, with a service ceiling of 65,000 feet and a range of 4,600 miles. With just 2 pilots, an AEO, but no nav or radar plotter employed today in the management of this aircraft. Coming round now for a dirty pass with the gear down. Got its first Vulcan in 1956, along with its contemporary bombers, the Valiant and the Victor. It was designed to carry the British nuclear deterrence during the Cold War. This year it's 25 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the European communist regimes, which eventually ended the Cold War. Most memorable, though, was at the end of Vulcan's operational career in 1982. Supported by 11 Victors and another Vulcan, Vulcan 607 hit the centerline of Port Stanley runway in the Falkland Islands with 1 bomb and the edge with another, making the runway unusable for the Argentine fast jets. And until the Gulf War, it was the longest bombing raid in history, 7,760 miles. There you see it with the bomb bays open, enough room for 21,000 pounds, that's nearly 9.5 tons of iron bombs or nuclear weapons.
quickly.
This aircraft was the first B2 version of the Vulcan and came into service in 1960. So it's 54 this year. Finally retired from the Royal Air Force in 1993, giving its last air display season as a Royal Air Force aircraft in 1992. The campaign to keep this aircraft alive has been on a knife edge since its earliest days, surrounded by many naysayers and doom-mongers and many near disasters. But every year pulls back from the brink with your support, and with the modification of the wings done last winter, keeps flying today and through next year as well. Bay doors closing as she comes round again. And this is all done through a private organisation, the Vulcan to the Sky Trust. And it's a reminder this aircraft is not funded by the government, doesn't belong to the Royal Air Force, and was eventually destined for the scrap heap before getting it back into the air. The project so far has cost in the region of £20 million. 2.7 of that came in an unprecedented heritage lottery grant, but the rest has basically come from people like yourselves here today. You've all given money in pounds, tens of thousands and everything in between. People like Jack Hayward and Eddie Forrester giving great generosity, huge support from the CAA and many other companies also part of this great success story. And as Vulcan sadly completes all far too early, it's just a magnificent machine. It's worth bearing in mind this costs about